Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Talking Interoperability today's session, focusing on Indonesia. And we are hoping that we will have a very rich and insightful discussion discussing the interoperability in Indonesia system. Next slide, please. My name is Mohammed Al-Menfi. I'm a social protection analyst at the World Bank, focusing on delivery systems and information systems for social protection delivery systems. And I'll be opening this session by offering some opening remarks, introductory remarks, and then laying the ground for the speakers and the moderators. So I would like to welcome you in all language possible. And thank you for joining us to enrich and make this session more engaging. The agenda for today's session is we will start by welcome remarks that I'm offering right now, and then moving into the core of our session, which the presentations from our two speakers. And then will be followed by discussions from our two discussants that I will introduce shortly, and then have an audience Q&A for questions that you might have. So I would encourage everyone to write down questions and think about questions as we go through the presentations. And then finally conclude with some closing remarks, kind of giving you some insights on our future plans in terms of those sessions and what's coming next. Before we start, a little bit of housekeeping rules. First, we would like to ask that you ask your questions in the Q&A box, as you can see the icon to the right. And if you have any comments or resources, please make sure that you put them in the chat. And when you do that, you'll see that make sure that you direct this to everyone, so everyone in the chat can see. And then also we offer a simultaneous interpretation is available, and you see the icon to the right here. Click on it and choose the language that you would like to listen to the session with. And finally, the session is
We have ceased to hear you, Mohammed.
It seems he's frozen.
So let's take a
1 minute back.
1 minute, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Apologies, for some reason Zoom kicked me out, and I'm back again. So I think we stopped at the housekeeping rules, and as I mentioned, I think we mentioned the housekeeping rules, so we can move to the next one. So a little bit of introduction on the DCI and what is the Digital Conversions Initiative. It's a joint effort by the USB 2030 members and also members, including governments, development partners, and private sectors. With the main objectives is to create a harmonized and interoperable delivery ecosystem for social protection. Again, the core goal is to build consensus-based standards for interoperability. And by this, we are hoping at DCI that we can achieve multiple or several objectives, such as fostering an ecosystem for innovations by ICT solution providers, and also enhancing efficiency in terms of reduction in time, in costs for developing solutions at not only country level, but also at the program level. And additional one would be to enable programs in country to mix and match, right, components of different suppliers and make sure that what works in some countries can be beneficial to others to benefit from, and to increase the public goods function of those solutions. And finally, to ensure that systems are future-proof by design, and regardless of the current level of policy and information system development and maturity. Talking Interoperability is a dialogue series that we've started sometimes now back by DCI, and it's the main goal is to facilitate an in-depth technical conversation around integrated and interoperable social protection information systems globally and across countries. And what we aim to do is to have a deep dive into one country level systems per session. So today's session is on Indonesia's system. Previous ones we had on India and other countries. So we for each session we take one country and kind of deconstruct the system, try to understand how how the system functions, but also share the technical nuts and bolts of how the agencies have designed those systems, and also understand the agency's approach of tackling major challenges when it comes to interoperability. And finally, what we try to do is to brainstorm potential solutions for kind of any bottlenecks that the country is facing. Recording of, so for our previous sessions, you can find the recordings of those sessions in two resources. One is our website, or DCI initiative websites, and the second is on the webinar series on socialprotection.org. And you can go and hopefully we can be also able to paste those two links in the chat, and so you can have them, bookmark them, and check them later for other recording. Now I would like to introduce the session, and starting with the speakers. So here we have a kind of a map of all the speakers, moderators, and who would offer closing remarks. I will introduce them in details in the next slides, but quickly here we have two presenters, Dr. Denny Borbasari and Mr. Hengi Shumamping, and two discussants that will be kind of discussing the two presentations today to kind of add insights and value and enrich the discussions is Katsari Rosana and Harry Edmondo Moroz. And the session will be moderated and facilitated by Luis Fruta and closed by Dominique Lescasi. Next slide, please. So Dr. Denny Borbasari has been the Executive Director of the Project Managed Office of Prakerja Program at the Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs since March 2020. She's also a lecturer in the Department of Economics, Universitas Gadjah Mada, and she earned her PhD in economics at the University of Colorado at Boulder in 2016. Before serving as the Director of Project Management Office, she was the Economic Deputy Chief of Staff for the President of the Republic of Indonesia from 2015 to 2020, and the Assistant to the Economic Advisor for the Vice President of the Republic of Indonesia from 2009 to 2014. She is the recipient of Satai Linkana Karai Satya X, the Fulbright Scholarship, at the Stanford Caldroot Student Teaching Award, the James Campbell Thesis Research Award, the Beverly Sears Student Research Award, and the University of Colorado Fellowship. Next, Mr. Henki Sihombing. He currently serves as the Director of Operation and Technology for the Pre-Employment Card Program since 2020. Over 15 years of experience in technology, digital industry, cloud software, and world-class technology. He has a proven track record in building, operating, and shaping successful digital products such as mobile and web in e-commerce industry, financial technology industry, HR, software and cloud technology industry. Katsurai Rosana, she's an engineer and a political scientist by background, a strategic thinker by nature, and connector by passion, and a philosopher by heart. As the principal advisor of the Adaptive Social Protection Project, a seasoned senior executive who excels in robust-based, high-pressure environment and executing complex operations and challenge settings. Graduated from IPB University, Indonesia, majoring in social science and mass communication. Has more than 18 years of experience in development corporations in the various fields of social protection and good governance, and 4 years of experience as a human resource management specialist in private banking. Harry Edmundo Morzo is a senior economist in the social protection and jobs global practice of the Latin America and Caribbean region at the World Bank. He's previously worked as an economist in East Asia and Pacific regions. Harry's analytical and operational work focus on workforce development, active labor market policies, and migration systems. Particular area of interest is labor market information system. Prior to joining the bank, Harry worked for the Chief Data Officer in the Mayor's Office of the City of Chicago and for the Drum Major Institute for Public Policy in New York City. And we will have Luis Fruta, who's the Program Manager, Innovation and Digital Transformation, Social Protection Department at the ILO. And finally, slide please. And finally, Dominique will offer us a closing remark, and he's the advisor of the Digital Social Protection at GIZ. With that, I'm delighted to give Luis the mic to moderate the session, and we start the session. Thank you so much, and we wish we had a great session.
Thank you so much, Mohammed, and thank you for your contribution to my successful timekeeping objective. So that's going to be one of my key tasks. But also just to say how important this presentation is, I think it illustrates well how standards and interoperability can facilitate seamless user experience and efficient back office operations. And we have here a platform that uses open data and a developer portal. So I think it fits well into the series of webinars that have taken place under this platform. But for the first time, we see something that bridges cash transfers with employment training and this other side of policy. So that's also very interesting. And we will see a lot of government to business connections in the delivery systems. And we could not have anybody better to tell us the nuts and bolts of the program than Denny Purbasari. Welcome. Let's start with you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Mohammed, for kind introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Danny. In the next 10 minutes, I would like to share with you the origins of Prakerja program. And then my presentation will be continued by my colleague, Mr. Hengki Sihombing, Director Operation for Prakerja. So for the next slide, please. Yes, so Prakerja was launched to address the employment challenges in Indonesia, which hinder the country's goal to achieving the vision of Indonesia 2045, becoming a high-income nation. So 2045 will mark the 100 years of independence of Indonesia. So even before the COVID-19 pandemic, employment issues in Indonesia were significant, including youth unemployment, low wages, and a high informal sector. Only 10% of the 144 million workforce in Indonesia had ever participated in vocational training, often due to limitations in finances, time, and information. Thus, Prakerja was designed to solve these users' problems. Additionally, Prakerja also addresses the issues on the supply side of trainings, where many training programs are irrelevant, low in quality, and not widely available across Indonesia. So the situation worsened with the advent of COVID-19, as 21.32 million workers were impacted, exacerbating the employment situation in Indonesia. Workers' incomes fell, and the problem was compounded by the fact that 76% of them work in the informal sector, lacking insurance, sufficient savings, and also the ability to adapt. Next slide. So what is Prakerja? So Prakerja is a large-scale development program launched by the government of Republic Indonesia in March 2020. It is accessible via www.prakerja.go.id. So Prakerja used on-demand registration system 24/7. So no intermediaries. And each participant receive training scholarships and post-training incentives and also post-service incentives. So you see from the table that Prakerja actually adapted into semi-social assistance during COVID-19. Namely, during COVID-19, only online courses available. The second one is that because it is online, then the cost is actually cheap. That's why the scholarship is only $65. But then, in order to support the well-being of the citizens impacted by COVID-19, the size of post-training incentive was enlarged to $156, which was delivered 4 times. And then what happened here is that the post-survey incentive, we give 50,000 rupiah or about $9. And then the number of participants during the COVID period reached 16.4 millions. And the number of the applicants is actually more than 50 million people. So the eligibility during the COVID period here is that everybody who's basically 18 to 64 years old can apply to the program. But those who already received the regular social assistance programs cannot receive the benefits of Prakerja, because we do not want to, there is a redundancy in the program, and we want to make sure the limited budget can be enjoyed by many citizens. And then starting in 2023, Prakerja adapted back to the original intention, namely active labor market policy. We provide the online and offline courses, and the size of the credit or training allowance was increased to $228. But then the size of the post-training incentive is lowered to $39 only. And the number of participants so far is 1.1 million people. The size declined significantly because we try to be very conservative to ensure that the take-ups on the supply and demand sides actually comparable. And then the eligibility here is everyone basically can apply for Prakerja, because now we already in the normal mode. So Prakerja essentially trying to bridge training market and labor market. So in the ecosystem since 2020, cumulatively, we already have 5,600 training programs provided by 390 training providers. Majority, they are private training providers and corporations. And we already have a partnership with 11 assessment teams consisting universities, NGOs, and so on. And we have also 12 monitoring teams, 10 business associations, and also with all the information and partnerships that we have, we can provide training recommendations to each participant that match to their demographic profiles and also their preference of the category of the trainings that they want to take. And then on the labor market, we have collaboration with 4 job portals, but the rest of the 7 job portals, we do scraping. By so doing, we can actually connect or provide job recommendation to each participants that match to the skills that they just acquired from the trainings provided by Prakerja. Next slide, please. So Prakerja essentially in the beginning was a political product that began with the campaign promise of President Joko Widodo. It was established based on the presidential regulations and 2 implementing regulations, one from the coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs and another from the Ministry of Finance. Within 3 years, these 3 regulations have been amended. These 3 regulations have been amended 6 times. This demonstrates the government's strong commitment to making the program effective and efficient. Next slide. The government's commitment to ensure the effectiveness and efficiency of Prakerja is also reflected in its institutional design. There are 14 line ministries and institutions involved in policy committee, including the Minister of National Development Planning, Minister of Education, Minister of Manpower, Minister of Finance, Minister of Home Affairs, and so on. So this setup allows for the reduction of silos and enhances alignment between programs. These ministers are supported by bureaucrats in formulating technical policies. On the implementation side, there is a PMO, primarily composed of professionals. So I lead this PMO unit. So currently, the number of PMO staffs reach 160 people. Next slide. So Prakerja occupies a distinctive position within Indonesia's social protection matrix. So it is an active labor market policy that provides access to training for individuals of productive age. Prakerja is not a targeted program. It is open to all Indonesian citizens aged 18 to 64, regardless of their employment status. So this includes both unemployed individuals and those who are employed, victims of layoffs, or recent graduates. So despite not being a targeted program, Prakerja excludes participants from the top 20% of the income bracket based on the data from the Ministry of Human Development. So this policy decision underlines the program's aim to focus on those who are most in need of skill enhancement and employment support without making it exclusively for any specific demographic. Next slide. So during the period of 2020 to 2024, Prakerja has successfully served 17.5 million recipients covering all the districts and cities across Indonesia. So the program is also inclusive, as evidenced by the high participation rate of individuals from vulnerable groups, including women, people with disabilities, and others. So this wide coverage and inclusivity indicate the program's effectiveness in reaching a broad and diverse section of the population, ensuring that the benefits of the training and skill development are accessible to those who need the most, regardless of their geographical location or personal circumstances. Next slide. So due to the large scale of Prakerja, I have requested research institutions to conduct studies or evaluations of the program. Most of these studies are funded by external agencies to guarantee independence. Some of them, I even do not know that they actually use Prakerja as a sample, or as the object of their research. So all the research findings are published on Prakerja website and discussed publicly. So these external studies are crucial for building public trust in Prakerja. This approach ensures transparency and accountability, allowing for an objective assessment of the program's effectiveness and areas for improvements. So by engaging independent bodies to evaluate the program, Prakerja also demonstrates a commitment to evidence-based policymaking and continuous improvement, which is essential for the maintaining and enhancing public confidence in the initiative. So some of the results are shown in the slides. So studies by the JPAL Southeast Asia in 2021 and also CIPG in 2023, which is supported by the ADB. So you can see the numbers here. And actually, we also look at other research results, and we found that the results generally saying the same thing, that Prakerja deliver good results to the participants. Last slide. So, and then on this final slide, on the final slide, here is actually the result of rapid assessment conducted by Devinit on the implementation of regular Prakerja scheme starting in 2023. Meanwhile, an impact evaluation of the regular scheme will be conducted in the fourth quarter of this year. So this concludes my presentation. Next, Hengki Sumbing will continue. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, this one, this slide is to representing about showing the Prakerja ecosystem. So the Kartu Prakerja basically is a ecosystem about the training, and if you guys see the center is the Kartu Prakerja, and the starting point is because the Kartu Prakerja is a on-demand platform, so people need to register to Kartu Prakerja. So we have interoperability with the civil population, and we have doing a verification data, because when people submit to Kartu Prakerja, they need to input some of the their personal information. So we need to validate and then to verify those data to the civil registration. And also we are having interoperability with the Minister of Finance, which is to asking money to beneficiary after they are having a decree of a beneficiary. And then we have integration as well with the bank BNI, because the bank BNI is a bank to pulling all the money from the Minister of Finance before we giving those money to the beneficiary. And also we have interoperability with connection with the several bank, which is BNI, BCA, and several fintech company, which is GoPay, OVO, Dana, Linkaja, and e-wallet. This interoperability is to make sure when because the previous slide is Miss Denny mentioned about the post-training incentive, we need to transfer all the money to the account bank or to the e-wallet of the participant. And also the key point is we have interoperability with the digital platform, but this is interoperability is a different side, because we built the API, and then all the digital platform partner or e-commerce platform, they use our API. So this is for this interoperability, we providing the API, and then the digital platform integrating using our API. And then we also connected with the job portal, previously already mentioned. We have a partnership with the for job portal, and then the rest of the job platform, job portal is we have a concern to scraping their data, because the integration is really taking time. So we need to scraping to make it is fast to collect all the job. Next slide, please. Yeah, basically this is a 9-step of user journey from the beneficiary of Kartu Prakerja. They're starting number 1 and number 2 to register, and then input all the data. We need to verify that. And then the number 3 until number 5 is a operation process in internal of Kartu Prakerja, because we need to decree of the beneficiary after the register, and then we do some randomization, because the demand to get Kartu Prakerja is bigger than number we can accept the beneficiary. So the number 3 until number 5 is the process operation in our internal, how we create the virtual account, they have a 16-digit number of the Kartu Prakerja ID, is like a payment to they can use, will be in number 7, they use that 16-digit number as a payment method on the e-marketplace. And then number 8 is after they purchase the training on the marketplace, and they use the voucher to going to training provider, they redeem that voucher, and then they access the training, and then they completing the training, and then get certification. And then after they complete the training, we have like a report from the training provider, and through the marketplace they send to us. And then after the completion training we will be creating the like a scheduling of incentive, post incentive. And then after the scheduling of the incentive, we will transfer those money to bank account. Is depend the beneficiary choose the bank or e-wallet. Next slide, please. Yeah, this one is the more specific about how we the looks UI of the UI on the user side when they open the Kartu Prakerja and then trying to create account. This is a slide. This is a screen of the dashboard of Kartu Prakerja. So they input the 16-digit number of the ID of citizen, and then they input some birth update and any information, and then we asking them to doing like a liveness to verify their face, and then we verify all this information to civil registration in Indonesia. Next slide, please. Yeah, behind of the slide, this one is how we interoperability connection with the civil registration. So basically, we using API from the population civil registration. We submit the data, but because the Kartu Prakerja on this interoperability is we are as a user the API, so we are rely to the standard what the civil registration department provides. So we just following the standard, reading the document, and then following all those requirement to access those API. Next, please. Yeah, and interoperability with the BNI. This is a process how we create the virtual account and then top up the balance or the money from the money we get from the Minister of Finance, and then drawing those money to each of beneficiary, because we already create the virtual account for each the beneficiary. And then this API also we need having like a host-to-host connection with the bank, because bank is a very high regulated about the technology. So we need to follow all the rule like a private connection or some private connection with the bank, with the civil registration as well. We need to having like a host-to-host connection and private list line connections, so we can consume those API. Basically, we same like a civil registration, the API from the BNI we just following, but because the BNI is our partner of Kartu Prakerja, we can asking more API and adjustment the API from the to BNI. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is interoperability the payment partner. This is the UI. This screen is when people accepted as a beneficiary, we need to asking them to linkage their bank account. They need to put their bank account, and then after the input on the form, we validate this data to the it's a bank, which like BNI, BCA, or Lingaja, and etc. And then if the data is valid and the reckoning is clear, active, and there is no fraud about the bank account or the e-wallet, and then we will be validate, and then is a success to linkage, and then they can use that Prakerja number to purchase the next process. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the communication happen in the Kartu Prakerja with the BNI, BCA, or GoPay, and etc. We follow all the process, like what kind of the request we need to send to the API, and then what kind of the response we just adjust what from the partner providing. Next slide, please. Yeah, interoperability with digital platform. This one is a different approach, because on the digital platform, the Kartu Prakerja providing the API. So we provide the API, and then all digital platform or e-marketplace use our API. So we creating the standard, we creating the API, we creating documentation, and then all the marketplace use. If you guys see the screen is the process how the beneficiary purchasing the training program on the e-commerce. Let's say on the first and the third UI is on the Prakerja dashboard. They select the training. After they choose the marketplace, let's say there is a two marketplace, which is Tokopedia and Karirmu. Maybe one person beneficiary choose Tokopedia, and then they're going to next the third UI, and then they can, after the deciding to purchase the training program, they can just input the number of Kartu Prakerja. It's like a 16-digit number of credit card they input on the Tokopedia platform, and we're doing some process experience like how we purchase on the marketplace, like on Amazon, we input the 16-digit number of credit card, and then we're doing some OTP. That's the process. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the API. So basically, quite like maybe we have like a 3 or 4 API to provide to the digital platform. The API is like to make sure to checking the status of the training, is it active or no, and then to checking the training program still having the schedule or not, having the quota or not, something like that. After all this validate, and then they can use the API to purchase. So this API we providing from our side, and then they just follow all the standard. Basically, the standard and the format of data is quite common, because we just providing very technical, is a JSON format, and then all the digital platform basically is a common standard how we consume the API. Next slide, please. Yeah, and also this one is interoperability with the training provider, and we have every because on the online side, the training is with LMS. They need to having integration with the Prakerja. This is an integration for training provider. They need to having integration with the Prakerja to verify. Before I'm to watching the video on the training provider website, then we need to verify people who access the video need to having like a face recognition to our platform. So they need to bring those people to doing a face recognition. And then after the success face recognition, which means if I'm a beneficiary, if somebody trying to access the training program as a hanky, if the face is not matching, we cannot allowing that people to watching the video. So we have integration at the level. Next slide, please. Yes, but this one is not interoperability, but we provide the like a micro apps, a micro application to the training provider, especially to training provider who provide who provide the training is online, so face to face on the classroom. So we're providing the application so they can verify people before they allowing the people come into the classroom. Next slide, please. Yes, this one is what I mentioned before, is a course attendance verification. So it's a quite challenging integration, because we provide some of the more API that and again the standard is a very common standard, which is the JSON request format, and also the response also the in a JSON format. So and all this API basically we are very fully having all the documentation, even in the like a document in PDF, or they can access all the documentation about how integrating is all this API through in our platform, because we're providing like online documentation and guide step by step how to use its API. Next slide, please. Yeah, this one is interoperability and the incentive disbursement process. Basically, this is incentive post process. This one is a very basically having in the back office process, like our internal system is having a connection to bank. Like before we transfer the money, we have like a connection with the bank to validate all the account number bank is still valid, is still the balance is enough before we transfer like 16,100, something like that. This is a business process about that. So it's a very, very operation integration. Next slide, please. Yeah, this one is a job information. Basically, this job information is previously already mentioned is we have a partnership with the 4Job portal, and then the rest of job portal is with scraping, and then the logic is a job information. Job information is we provide like the opening job on the ecosystem of job portal in Indonesia. So we give the list of recommendation job depend of the training they already complete previously. Let's say I'm complete the digital platform, digital marketplace, digital marketing, and then maybe after they visit the dashboard of Kartu Prakerja, and then they follow, they see on the job recommendation section, we will be show all the list opening job in the market, in the all the job portal as a quite of list job related the skill from the digital market, the digital marketing training they already completed previously. Next slide, please. Yeah, job portal API integration is a different to having a two scheme, which is the API integration. The format is still they're giving us a list of job, and then we pulling every like maybe a day is a 2 or 3 times we pulling all the list active job from the top job portal for job portal, which is Top Career, Pintarnya, Career, and Job Street. So every day is like 2 or 3 times we pulling all the job, and then also we checking on our system if the API if the job is not exist or not active on the Top Career or in the job platform, we need to take it down so people don't have to see the job is not active yet. But in the another one is scraping. Scraping is quite challenging because we just have there is no like partnership agreement, so we just asking permission because it's more easy for us because we only build one engine to the scraping website, and then we cloning to the rest of job portal. But the challenge is because this is a scraping, we need to make sure if they changes any website style, any website content on the job portal, we need to adjust our scraping engine to make sure all the information about the job is still up to date. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, talking about the technology, yeah, Kartu Prakerja basically really using the very edge technology. The first one is a website and application. We using like a Golang programming, React, Rails, and Nodes. We use this with a different perspective. Or API maybe using the Golang, and Node.js maybe using for some of like a scraping. The Rails is we using for internal tools, because why we choose that is more easy for us to moving forward, and then developing depend on the speed of the engineers. And database also we using several database. Basically all of the database of the program is from the data of the participant. Data of course is we store on the MySQL, and also the PostgreSQL. The rest is we using for the purpose like background process. We use Elasticsearch. Basically we use for the recommendation engine, course recommendation, like course like job recommendation. We using Elasticsearch, and the rest another database is for the caching layer. So make it is the API response time is really fast and easy for people when they access the Kartu Prakerja website. Is very fast response. And data engineering, because we have really heavy data in Kartu Prakerja, we having like really investing a lot for data engineering. So we using like a Debezium, Kafka to streaming the data, and also we using like managed service from Alibaba, like Alibaba DTS, which is because our architecture, maybe the next slide will be show, is we using microservices architecture. So like maybe have several database, we need to stream that data to one single data warehouse, so our internal team can analyzing is a really fast and really easy, because our architecture is very complex about the microservices. And infrastructure, yeah, we are fully in Alibaba Cloud, and we're using like a Kubernetes to clustering and scaling all the data, and we use also like a Kong, Nginx, and to make it like API gateway, caching layer, and something, etc. Next slide, please. Yeah, basically, this one is one of the data management. Like I mentioned before, is our architecture is a microservices. We have like maybe like a 10 database from MySQL, Postgre, and etc. And but it's a really complex when our data to analyze the process where, so we need to streaming all those database to one single OLTP database MySQL, and then we also transforming to our data warehouse, which is AnalyticDB. And we are every day is just the internal team, if need to analyze the data, reading the data, trying to see the progress of the beneficiary, we just access the AnalyticDB, because all those data completing there, they don't need to reading to its database. Next slide, please. Yeah, about the data standard is a really data standard adhere to open standard format. Basically, what we are doing now is about talking about interoperability with our partner, and also with the digital platform, with the civil registration, with the bank and e-wallet and fintech. Basically, we just following the open standard format about the API, because it's a common. Basically, if we just following the private sector work, is really easy. So data standard is a format, data type, name convention. Also, we have in coordinate and follow the open standard in the private how private sector and the technology sector doing that. Data dictionary, yeah, is available on the partner through website as well, and periodic review to conduct the standard, because sometimes the bank having like adjustment the API, adjustment the standard, because they are very regulated, and also like a minister civil registration also having like adjustment the API, we need to follow them because they are very regulated. So there is no reason to us to negotiate and then not following the changes. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, this one is a data access control and data privacy. Basically, Kartu Prakerja very data centric, and that's why. And we have a lot of data of citizen right now is maybe very big. So that's why we need to having a data policy standard and data privacy. Basically, it's like not all the people in Kartu Prakerja easily to access and see all the data. So we have like data governance process, like if you need some data for like research and etc., you need to having a follow about the governance and process in the Kartu Prakerja. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the developer portal and training. This is basically this one, the way we make it easy for a partner to use our API. So they can just access developer.prakerja.go.id, and they can, all those people, all those partner and training provider or digital platform can just visit those and then see the how to integrate the Kartu Prakerja API. And also if they have any question, they can just submit an email or internal to having like Zoom to like dissemination the API, how to use that, and we also open like a chatting to discuss basically if they have difficult to integrate. Next slide, please. Yeah, if we're talking about the challenges, yeah, this one is a challenges of interoperability. It's a I separate to slide to side because it's different challenge when we as a user the API. When Prakerja as a user API, yeah, we need to establish some of like a proof of concept. Let's say the civil registration is really tough, because we need to build like a private list line connection, like server to server. We need to having like really server to server connection, and then we need to do like a proof of concept before they allowing us to use that API on the production environment. So it's really tough when we talking about the API from the civil registration citizen. And the challenge also is a different in acknowledge, right? Because sometimes, yeah, in a private sector, maybe is knowledge is a bit high, so they can explain more. But when we're talking in the public services, sometimes the API is not what they are built. I mean, they're not really they fully built that API. Maybe it's up from the another partner or their vendor. So sometimes they don't know really 100% know the API and how to use that. So it's a challenge because it's a effort for us to understand the API. So, and also the second one is when using partner API, also we need to follow like a standard like ISO 26001 is like a security on standard. So we need to build this ISO to allow us to use that API. Next. Yeah, okay. This one is of the previous slide maybe. Oh yeah, okay, next. Yeah, next. Okay, strategic to overcome interoperability issue when using API. Yeah, basically what I mentioned before is because we are already having like a developer portal, this is really help us to minimize and to maintain like 200 training provider to use our API. So when we release the open API documentation, they can just easily access that API, and then they just come to us if they have a problem or they have difficult understand about the documentation. So we don't have to surfing like 200 training provider and also plus the e-commerce partner to asking about and then to asking any question about the API. But and also we provide like a live dissemination and socialize to the partner if they have a issue about the integration API. Next slide, please. Yeah, basically this one is the following. Some of the API maybe need to use the MOU because also all the API what we produce sometimes is exposing the personal information from the beneficiary. So we need having like MOU or a letter to whose responsibility if the API access we give to the partner or to training provider. If someone maybe abuse that API to do some not really ethical to the API, so we need to having like a memorandum documents and etc. Next slide, please. Okay, maybe that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Danny and Heng Chi. Without further ado, I see that there are already a lot of questions and very good ones. But let's hold that for a moment and give the floor to our first discussant, Rosanna. Rosanna, cut over to you.
Thank you so much, Luis. And thank you also for the presentations, Ibu Heni Purbasari, Ibu Dani Purbasari, and also Pak Hengki. The presentation was highly informative and also showcased a great model of collaboration between active labor market policy and also social assistance. Of course, there is a reduction of the beneficiaries that, as you mentioned. With that in mind, I would like to ask several follow-up questions. The first one is based on the understanding or the information that the workers who have been laid off are among those who also benefit from the Prakerja program. So the current situation that Social Security Carrier for Employment-Related Insurance or BPJS Ketenagakerjaan develop job loss security or jaminan kehilangan pekerjaan or our employment insurance program, which also include training and incentive benefit for formal workers who are members of the Employment Social Security Program. So how does the Prakerja team distinguish between beneficiaries of the JKP, Unemployment Insurance and Prakerja program, to avoid, as you said, that double benefit so more citizens could enjoy the Prakerja program? Has also interoperability with BPJS Ketenagakerjaan been established? If yes, maybe you could also share how is the process. And the second one, you mentioned in your slide, Pak Hengki, that the level knowledge of the partner and also the capacity could hinder the potential of interoperability effort. So beside that, if there is any challenging to adopting data interoperability between Prakerja and other stakeholder, especially maybe regarding the leadership and also regulation. I think those two questions at the moment. Thank you.
So perhaps let's take those two questions. Danny, over to you.
Okay, Luis, thank you, Ibu Rosanna, for the questions. So, for the first questions, yeah, we operate in accordance with policies and regulations. And the policies and regulations of Prakerja do not prohibit recipients of JKP or job loss security from becoming Prakerja recipients. So we have previously shared data with BPJS Ketenagakerjaan, the Social Security Administration for Employment, manually. This was not for the purpose of filtering out the JKP participants, but rather for identifying recipients of the wage subsidy assistance or Bantuan Subsidi Upah program. So the Bantuan Subsidi Upah program is a program implemented by the government during COVID-19 that provides money to workers earning wages or salaries below 3.5 million rupiah per month. So less than $270 per month. So therefore, if a Prakerja registrant is a PSU recipients or the Bantuan Subsidi Upah recipients, to avoid overlap of cash assistance during COVID-19, PMO will not approve the individual as recipients. So that's so basically we don't have interoperability with the BPJS Ketenagakerjaan. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Pak Hengki, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, what the challenge in adopting data integrate between Prakerja and other stakeholder, I think is what I can say maybe is like there is always a challenge, right? So the first one is what we are facing the challenge in the Kartu Prakerja like almost 4 years is how we when we having the API with the especially with the from the government institution is the issue problem is the challenge is the scalability and also technical reliability and resilience, right? So why I bring this one is a number one is basically Kartu Prakerja is really having like a criteria. Let's say Kartu Prakerja is not allowing for the people or for the people who are ready who the people who still active as a student or the student. So what I mentioned is previously the early one in Kartu Prakerja in 2020 is we have integration with some of the government institution, but scalability of their API is really blocking us to completing to make it to business process how we select the people, because when because Prakerja is accept the beneficiary is every batch. Let's say after the batch close, we need to appointing people as a beneficiary is in 24 hours. But when we having integration with some those of institution, is make us like more time. So that's why we stop the interoperability because the scalability issue, because we need to validate like 3 to 4 million users to make sure this ID is still active as a student or not. So that's the number one challenge about the scalability. the technical reliability. And also, yeah, the second one is is a common issue. Yeah, that's why we're talking here is like a data standard, data quality, and consistency of about the format. And also, yeah, that's the challenge number two is how we standardize the output to us, because the common is a interoperability response, and when we request the data to the API and then you give us response, is basically just follow the open standard API. It's like a JSON format. It will be easy for us. That's the standard. Now the challenge number two. The number three maybe is I talking about the organization and culture barriers. What I mentioned, this one is about overcoming the silo operation and fostering culturing to data sharing and collaboration. But this one is a really tough, challenging to all the public services. But addressing all these challenges, I think in government institutions require a multifaceted approach, right? And that include not just about technology solution, but also organizational change management strategy, like a strengthening strategic planning, policy update, and also cultural shift, openness, and collaboration. The goal is to achieve efficiency, to achieve secure and scalability, data interoperability, then and enhance service delivery. I think maybe hopefully that answer your question, Bu Rosanna.
Yeah, I pass the moderator, but I just would like to clarify with Ibu Dani that you said I mean, from your explanation, that seems potential overlapping of beneficiaries between Prakerja and JKP is really huge. While in the other side, in your opening statement that you said, like to ensure more citizens to enjoy the benefit. So, and also the second one that the interoperability with BPJS Ketenagakerjaan still not exists yet. Do you see, this is for both of you, Pak Hengki and also Bu Dani, like for the future of this Prakerja program, although we all understand, as you also mentioned, that Prakerja is more on the beginning as a political delivery of the Indonesia government, and this will be like changing of the government soon in October 2024. So how, like, if we put together, what is the sustainability? What looks like the future Prakerja? Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu. The last question is actually 1 million people's question. So yeah, I'll try to answer the last questions. But to clarify, Ibu, so again, number one, we don't know about the implementation of JKP program. So we don't have the data, we don't have the report and so on. But what we heard from many government officials, those who are the beneficiary of JKP actually only takes the cash, but not taking the courses. So if you look at the overlap in terms of the overlapping in delivering trainings, the answer is no. The second one is during COVID period, we actually try to exclude the recipients of PSU, Bantuan Subsidi Upah. And because that's based on data from the BPJS Ketenagakerjaan, and many of those who are laid off and access JKP is actually also the participants or the member of BPJS Ketenagakerjaan. So I think during the COVID period, a lot of redundancy can be reduced because of the overlap membership between PSU and also JKP itself. And then the third one is JKP is actually a program that the benefits is on only when there is a shock to that worker. And then they will receive two types of benefits. The first one is the cash, and number two, trainings. But Prakerja is different. Prakerja is not on when crisis occurred, but Prakerja can be adapted as a semi-social assistance when the crisis is basically occurred. So Prakerja, the mission is to provide access to skilling and reskilling upskilling and reskilling for all Indonesians. At this moment, the regulations say only once in a lifetime. But actually, we think deeply about this because essentially, reskilling and upskilling is a continuous process along our, lifetime. So that's why we again want to look deeper in the data, and maybe we can support those who actually come from vulnerable groups, but they show positive results or positive outcomes from Prakerja, and also depends on the availability of the budget of the government. Maybe in the future, they can be given the second chance of participating in another types of trainings. So that's actually also still being discussed in PMO. So, and for the another questions, the 1 million people questions. So yes, that's true that Prakerja is truly a political product, but our commitment is to make the program as successful as possible. And we actually designed Prakerja is not for the short term. We do not want the program becomes an ad hoc program, but the decision is not in the PMO's hand. Now the general elections have concluded, and according to the quick counts, the candidate committed to continuing the programs of Joko Widodo's administration has won. So the last job creation committee meeting about 3 weeks ago reviewed the results of Prakerja program thus far. And again, in the committee, there are 14 line ministries. So looking at the program scale, adaptability, efficiency, effectiveness, and also transparency, many of the committee members requested that the program to be continued to be enhanced in the future. So I have not yet been involved in the discussions regarding Prakerja 2025 and beyond. But I also have not been involved in any discussion, if there is any discussion about the alternatives, other than Prakerja. However, we at the PMO have been considering carefully what aspects of change are necessary for Prakerja to improve further. So that's my answer for the 1 million people questions. Thank you. So Pak Hengki, do you want to add something?
Maybe I add more about the overlap about the BSU program with the Kartu Prakerja. We don't do in interoperability connection, but we do like data sharing. So before we decree the beneficiary of Kartu Prakerja, we need to asking the BSU at the time, are you having the new beneficiary of the BSU or no? If you have, give to us so we can exclude them as a beneficiary of Kartu Prakerja before we decree them as a beneficiary. So we have exchange data because the problem of the interoperability at the time, and we only doing this only for like 2020 and 2021. So because the BSU only 2 years, so we do just a manual data transfer because the problem about the fast them to use and to provide the API and the scalability with the biggest the size of request and validation data from the Kartu Prakerja. So we have they have a limitation, and also they decide to, okay, we just giving you the CSP data, or the CSP is only filled by the NIC, the ID of the citizen. So we just validate if there is if the NIC is as a beneficiary Kartu Prakerja, before we decree, we exclude them if they are already as a beneficiary of BSU. So that's what we do on the BSU with Kartu Prakerja at the time. So I can say is the overlap number about BSU and the Kartu Prakerja is very, very small. Maybe it's less than just 0.1%, because maybe sometimes lack of the data, but sometimes because they don't have like regulation about let's say we already give let's say me as a beneficiary of Kartu Prakerja, we also giving my NIK to the Jam Sostek, to BPJS Tenaga Kerja, and then they maybe can exclude me as a beneficiary of BSU, but we cannot control how they are doing the process, how they give the BSU program to the citizens. So we just giving our data and then we pulling their data. Maybe hopefully they can answer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosanna. Thank you, speakers. Let's hear from the next discussant, Mr. Harry Edmund Moros. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much for the presentation. Super interesting, and I think lots of things to learn from. I have two fairly short questions. So the first is about the use of digital platforms and e-marketplaces to manage training course provision and purchasing. I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about why that decision was made. In other countries, I think governments have used their own portals to manage training provision, and hope you can maybe mention some strengths to that approach, but also maybe some drawbacks or some challenges you face in managing course provision through these e-marketplaces. And then the second question is also related to the provision of training here. I'm curious about quality control in training courses and training providers. Just generally how that is done. And then more specifically, and maybe more relevant to this specific presentation, is that process incorporated into the Prakerja digital ecosystem in a way that allows for kind of easy monitoring of course quality. Thanks very much.
Okay, Harry. So thank you. Interesting question. So there are some reasons behind why we choose to use e-marketplaces to manage course purchasing. So the first one is about the readiness. Prakerja program is new, and actually the born of Prakerja was sped up because of COVID-19. So PMO was established on 17th of March, and we have to launch the program on April 11. So only 3 weeks available for us to basically understand the regulations and actually help also to shape the content of the regulations. And we use a pragmatic approach how to basically launch this program as soon as possible, because the existing social protection, actually, we understand there are some exclusion errors in there. And COVID-19 also hit populations not only in decile 1 to 4, but also in the middle class. So number one, Prakerja program is new. Number two, PMO is also new with only 6 directors, including myself. So with all of this limitation, we should prioritize. So priority becomes the third reason. So priorities here, our priority is actually number one, building a PMO team, and then develop business processes with all government institutions, building integrations with key major players in order to make the program, the business process end-to-end running smoothly. And then we also trying to adhering to regulation, and then passing all the audits by all the government agencies. And also the fourth reason is we try to specialize or do some kind of division of labor. That e-marketplaces are tasked with recruiting training institutions, curation, display, marketing communication, contact center, IT and also facilitating the onboarding of participants who already have millions of users or educational technology. So because in the beginning, we had 8 e-marketplaces, 2 of them government-owned, and 2 others actually giant e-marketplace companies with millions of users. So they get used to how to purchase products in those e-marketplaces. That's why we actually piggyback the capabilities of the market, the experience of the markets, in order to do the services for our customers or our users. And we also have a mission of grooming the market, or maybe ignite the market for skill development that previously almost did not exist in Indonesia. So besides 2 government-owned e-marketplace and 2 giant e-marketplace companies, we also have 4 young education technology e-marketplaces. We aim to grow their capabilities, so when Prakerja program ends or there was a lack of budget, the training market can sustain itself. And then the last reason is we try to lean to the market, borrow their capabilities. So we can leverage the capabilities of e-marketplaces, especially those with the education technology nature, to assist small training providers or training providers that previously, only provided offline trainings. But not all actually the training providers issues are about the digital capacity. Some of them really, have limited ability or limited capacity to create good modules, good training programs. They also do not have good governance, good customer service, and so on. Those areas, again, need to be improved. So, so far, more than 1,000 training providers actually tried to apply for Prakerja, but only about 20% were accepted. So this already indicates that the capacity of the training providers in Indonesia is limited. So what are the shortcomings of using e-marketplaces as currently practiced? Well, number one, of course, length of bureaucracy, because the training providers must apply to the digital platforms or e-marketplaces, and then e-marketplaces do some curation and also document check, and then after that they submit to PMO. So again, there is the length of bureaucracy in there. The second one, of course, transaction cost, administrative cost, asymmetric information, and also the span of control, our capacity to control the digital platforms, how they actually do their business processes, sometimes are limited. So that's actually the drawbacks. However, because of, again, our timeline at that time is actually, maybe during President Jokowi's administration only, but again, we already prepared how we go from this point on in order to make Prakerja becomes more efficient and deliver better results for our users. Thank you. Henki, do you want to add some points on that issue?
I think all good, but yeah, what we are mentioning is if we're talking about the question is how to helping the training provider is having a low digital or technology skill. That's why we having a marketplace, especially the edutech marketplace. So let's say I'm a training provider, only provide the offline training, and at 2020 until 2022, I cannot coming to ecosystem Prakerja because the Kartu Prakerja only allowing the training is delivered by online or Zoom, but by LMS and Zoom. But because I have less capability to running the training in the offline and the digital or online, so the training provider like me, like the very conservative offline, I can go coming to the edutech marketplace and then use all their technology and their platform, so I can just using their platform and then coming to Prakerja ecosystem. So I think is really maybe the big reason when we choose the way approach how we starting with the marketplace. And also maybe the number one is why we choose also the big marketplace. It's easy for us. We are a new program, need to educate to the market, right? Need to socialize to citizen. We having a big program, and also we are a very having a less capability and less capacity. What Bu Deni mentioned in the early beginning of Kartu Prakerja. So the resource of the marketplace help us to socializing the program and also helping us to grab the training provider coming to ecosystem, and also the experience how people purchasing the training, they don't have a different experience. Let's say I'm already user of the marketplace, so when I'm joining the Kartu Prakerja and I'm to be a beneficiary, I just going to one of the marketplace, I just purchase the code. The experience how we purchase the training is same like what I do before when I'm purchasing maybe like electronic or book or something else product in the marketplace. So that's the big reason why we choose the e-marketplace in the beginning. Thank you.
So thank you so much for this super insightful discussion and exchange. Let's turn to the Q&A that there were many from the listeners that there were. I can group the questions in 5 or 6 domains. The first is concerning the beneficiaries of the program. One question is, are people with disability particularly taken care of or considered to access the program, and do you have specific content for them? Another is on people who are internally displaced populations. Is there specific training material for them? And the general question that I could add on this, the beneficiary is the access to the program is made online. Do you have ways to encourage participation and registration through other access points than just online, to be able to capture populations who are not immediately, let's say, smartphone savvy or something like that? So that's the first. Let me stop here for the moment.
Okay, Luis, thank you. So number one, on the participants with disabilities. So Prakerja strongly encourage people with disabilities to apply for Prakerja. But in this case, I have to admit that we only have at this moment 1,200 plus courses, and again, each participant basically can choose whatever trainings that they need, suitable with their preference and also to the economic opportunities that they want to exploit. Because Jakarta doesn't know anything, so we provide all the menus. Like you go to the restaurants, all you can eat restaurants, all the menus are there, no matter that basically can accommodate the need of all our guests. So but in this case, we learn more from actually the participants that have who have disabilities, how Prakerja actually can help them, because they say that they have communities and they have certain technologies that enable them to learn Prakerja. So we learn from them about this. And third, we also collaborate and also have a strong discussion and engagement with NGOs specializing in serving people with disabilities. And according to the statistics, almost half of the types of disabilities who are the participants of Prakerja, they have a physical disabilities. They are not have a vision, limitation or a hearing limitation, but like, for example, they have problems in walking or running, or maybe typing and so on. So with the current technologies, actually, they can assess different types of trainings. What about the jobs? Yeah, government actually has laws that basically ask or require companies and also government institutions to provide or give a special provision to or opportunity for people with disabilities to basically work with them or work for them. So we cannot, Prakerja at this moment cannot control this side, but again, we encourage the participants with disabilities to apply for Prakerja. And then your questions, the second questions about the internally displaced populations. So how Prakerja can help them to enter the labor market. So again, Prakerja only have a technology that basically match the trainings that the participant wants with the jobs that basically match with the skills that they just acquired from Prakerja. The choices actually depend on them, and the success also depend on the participants. We cannot provide like a special provisions or guarantees because the size of Prakerja is just very big, and with the average wage quite low, so we need a robust and inclusive program rather than like specific program that's specifically targeted for specific recipients. And also but one thing that is for sure here is that as long as individuals are connected to the internet, they can register and access Prakerja. And during the COVID era, we were able to adapt as a safety trampoline. We can give a social assistance or cash assistance after the participants completed the training. So in a sense, it's not only a safety net, but safety trampoline. People who falls because of the disaster, they will not fall deeply, but they will be bounced back up because of the skills that they acquire from Prakerja. So this is also true in the event of disasters, like for example, natural calamities that force people to relocate. But again, the most important here is that if we are required or asked by the government to basically provide assistance or Prakerja for people in a certain local area or people with certain, personal ID that already being determined by the local government or line ministry, then we are ready to provide or to give access of training and also financial support for them. However, again, Prakerja does not offer specific job placement to participants. We don't have that experience yet. Thank you.
But in fact, the fact that you actually sort of in the cloud, you are not in a particular location, should help to cover people who are internally displaced. Normally, trainings might be local by nature, but you are not, and therefore, if people have fled a location, they can participate more easily. They don't have to prove any residence or to in a particular location. So that's very clear. The other type of questions that we have is regarding the content. Specifically, do you have any content related to greening skills? And my question here is, all the type of content that you can access online, not more geared towards digital skills, management, and perhaps not manual skills, or do you have a diversity of skills available?
Yes. So first, we have green skills provided in Prakerja, we actually rely on two reports as our compass or reference for guidance. The first publication titled Green Jobs Map, something like that, by Bapenas, and also the MOE, GIZ, and Australian Partnership. And the second is the information provided by LinkedIn Southeast Asia. LinkedIn provides the insights of the top 15 jobs categorized as requiring green skills that listed in LinkedIn Indonesia. So currently, using that basically information, currently we offer at least 14 training programs focused on green skills, like for example, sustainability reporting, carbon accounting, CSR reporting, sustainable fashion, domestic waste management, food waste management, eco-friendly pesticides, how to make organic fertilizer, eco-friendly tourism, how to modify motorcycles into electric vehicles, and so on. So the initiative actually part of our effort to ensure that Indonesian workforce is equipped with the necessary skills to participate in and contribute into the growing green economy and addressing the environmental challenges while fostering sustainable development. And on the manual skills, yes, Luis, during 2020 to 2022, because of COVID, we were prohibited providing offline trainings. That's why offline trainings only started since 2023. Now we have courses like how to drive a heavy truck, bus, and also how to maintain bulldozer, excavator, and all the heavy machineries. So again, Prakerja keep adapting to the demand of the market, and we need to announce to the market and also signal and also inform to the partners, including the e-marketplaces, the fields that we want to be provided as a priority, and then we will add them into our ecosystem. So adaptability is definitely in our DNA. Thank you.
Thank you. So the last group of questions before we come to the actual interoperability and data structure management and so on, still on the policy program level, do these trainings provide certification to allow people to carry? It's not just to carry some kind of skills through their job search. And I would add, we've seen through the research that the job impact that you have, and that's super important, but these are ex post measures. Do you have some kind of interoperability happening between and try to match the training to immediate future jobs? That is done a little bit with perhaps some automatization and some algorithms, but do you have some kind of dashboard where you and some kind of human intervention in individual case management? How do you have some kind of monitoring of individual job success in getting jobs?
Okay, so the first one on the certification, our mandate is to give trainings and then post-training incentive and also post-survey incentive. So with that mandate, then we only work on that, task. The second one, certification is quite expensive, and the scholarship is actually quite small, so we cannot cover both. And then third, but Prakerja actually provides certificate, and there are two types of certificates. Number one is certificates of attendance for those who do not pass with a satisfaction level, the competence test. But the second type of the certificate is certificate of excellence, something like that, for those who actually can perform well during the performance test. The threshold is 80 out of 100. So that's actually we do pre-test, post-test, and also in between quizzes and also some kind of homework or assignments that need to be reviewed and given feedback by the instructors to the participants. And Henki actually also already built the API for that. And then the second issue on the certification, even though Prakerja does not ask the external or independent agency to give the certification, but our reference is actually the same, namely the National Qualification Framework. The National Qualification Framework, however, generally a lengthy consisting of all the items of competence. But Prakerja, again, the second problems of participants is I don't have time. So that's why, and 90% of participants or labor force in Indonesia never attended vocational trainings. That's why we need to understand and have empathy to our users that they are actually the first time learners. We do not want them to burn out. And during COVID, we make the program length is very short such that they can access the social assistance or the cash assistance as soon as possible. And then they will take the second course, the third course, and so on. We already recorded a participant with a maximum of 18 courses actually can be completed within a year, Luis, because they like that, oh, this is my first time to learn. I enjoy it. It is very beneficial. And then they keep learning until the end of the year. So this is actually also good results that Prakerja built their optimism and also built their habit of learning via internet. And then that's why Prakerja, the reference is the National Qualification Framework. But the minimum qualification that we can provide it or accepted in Prakerja is actually 5 items of competence. But the length, sometimes some of the training providers provide the whole items of competence, and the duration of the trainings becomes very long. But again, it depends on the user, whether they want to do marathon or they want to take only sprint and short distance of trainings. And then your second questions on the issue of sorry, I a bit forget your
sort of
second
case management in a way, how you do have a way to connect the training to job offers, so that part is a bit automatized.
Yes.
But do you produce dashboards where humans look at the attendance and enrollment in trainings and try to match, or is it fully automatized?
Henki, over to you. Maybe you can elaborate your presentation before.
Okay. Yeah. Louis, you're talking about the job, right? The job what we get from the job portal partner, and yeah. I mean, right now, unfortunately, we are not providing like a dashboard for people to access the data of the beneficiary, what kind of the people who complete the training, let's say digital marketing, sales, or etc. And then when I need people to find people or worker having a skill sales or having a skill green skill, I need to find from the Kartu Prakerja, right? That's your question. We not providing yet those dashboard yet, but I don't know, maybe the future. But talking about the matching and monitoring people getting the job right now, basically what we are doing with our partner is from the job portal is, this is a private company job portal. So we are partnership only pulling their job. So because what we understand our user is they are thinking is like looking a job is going door to door and then or visit to the company and then bring their resume letter. What we wanna do is basically there is a job opening online, so you don't have to go into its office to looking a job. You just sitting under your desk and your chair and then just open your dashboard Kartu Prakerja and you can see the job. because we are already pulling from the 11 job portal, and then you just one search. Let's say you having a skill accounting, or you having a skill about driving, you just typing driver, and then will be see the job. But unfortunately now, what we are partnership and integrating with those job portal, we are not tracking the beneficiary who apply those jobs. We cannot, we are not going that far so far.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, what we are basically we still curious to asking the job portal, because the benefit is they still having the traffic visit their job portal, right? Because we are bring our beneficiary when they want to apply, going to the origin job portal. After they are applying, we always sometimes not regularly, but sometimes quarterly, we asking how many people, because we know how many people we bring to the job portal. Let's say 100,000 people we bring beneficiary to apply to the job street, because they're searching the job from our dashboard. And then sometimes we're asking how many people from the 100,000 these people applying the job. They will be report, and then how many people accepted. Unfortunately, even the private job portal, they cannot measure how many people who apply get a job, because sometimes the employer is not informing in the job portal, okay, I close this job because I accept this one. Gitu. So let's say 100 people apply, they sometimes not flagging, I pick one person from the 100 applicant. They cannot mention or inform the job portal. So that's the big issue what we are doing now. Maybe hopefully that answer.
Oh, great.
But,
Thanks so much.
I would like to add on that point, Luis. So number one, many Indonesians do not know about job portals. And that's why we, whenever we travel to the remote areas away from Jakarta, we educate them how to search for job and how to use the menu in the personal dashboard. And then the second one is, and many of them actually just realize how many jobs available in Prakerja dashboard. At this moment, more than 90,000 jobs listed in the dashboard. And then the second one, we also educate or inform them that now what the trend of the job market in Indonesia is project-based. So do not only focus on the full-time jobs and in office job, because now remote job also becomes trend in Indonesia. And we also provide good stories, good successful stories from participants of Prakerja that resides in the remote islands, who can basically provide services all over Indonesia by doing it online. And then we also inform them some of the freelance job portals that they can actually list it in there. Like, for example, Freelancer, Sejasa, and so on. But this all depends on them whether they want to put their profiles on that job portals. And then not only that, we run a evaluation survey. So evaluation survey consists of more than 100 questions. So it is designed by top economists in Indonesia to understand the perception and also kind of measure the results of Prakerja. So according to the last survey, about 26% of participants Prakerja use the feature of job search in the dashboard, and 96% of them actually satisfied with the service. And if I were not mistaken, more than 70% who actually look at the feature of a job search in Prakerja did apply for the job, and more than 30% of them actually got the invitation for interviews. But we do not track further, if I were not mistaken, whether they are successful in basically get the job or not. So that's the same story like Henki mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So we have still a bit around 12 minutes to come into the more technical data issues, and we have questions on data governance, on data sharing, and on network security and platforms. So first on data governance is how do you ensure interoperability? How do you coordinate between agencies, how partners are brought on board? I mean, you've already mentioned the EduTech program, the Edu platform, the development platform ecosystem, but you also mentioned MOUs. Could you just elaborate a little bit more on how you bring partners together? How do you educate? How do you coordinate? That's one thing. Second, how do you ensure data governance? Is it through MOUs? Is it through you have several databases, right? So tell us a little bit how do you define the roles and responsibilities? What are the major roles that you have in the organization to ensure data quality, the stewardship of data, etc. So these two questions.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Lu. Thank you, Lu. First of all, I want to asking about the data governance first. Basically, what data governance, what we are doing is only for our organization, which is PMO Kartu Prakerja. So what we are designing the data governance is who's people who can access the data, who can reading, who can see and access, and also like exporting the data. And what kind of the first of all is what kind of the data can accesses, what kind of the information can accesses by the people. So because we have a team data, which is by team data is from the complement about the team is like a data analyst, data engineers, and also data science and etc. Basically, these people who control the data and also supporting by team the policy in Kartu Prakerja, which is operation policy. The policy is creating the standard how people access the data. Who's having the role? Having the role is a gatekeeper is from the operation policy team. Every access about relating about the personal information, let's say phone number, name, ID citizen, email, gender, date of birth, and etc. information, you cannot access the information with the certain just asking for with the purpose. If this a critic, because this one is a level security level of data governance very level secure, high level secure, we need to having a level. So we need to give information. Let's say what the purpose. You only want to doing like what we can research in the sample. We cannot giving all the data. We only giving maybe some unique ID and then the name and the phone number and email, because you just send the email or SMS to doing a survey. But approval level to export the data in the Excel or CSV format, we need to having like a 2-level approval in manager and in head level, head department level, and also a director level. That's if exporting the data. If the access the data, basically we open the data, but without a personal information. So basically that's how we designing the data governance, and also we are very quite active too. Let's say if we export now the data, you need to destroy that data after you use those data for the purpose. Let's say you're doing survey, after you complete the survey, you need to destroy the data. Don't store in your local personal laptop, because we have a policy team to checking and to make sure they already follow the policy. That's how we designing, and the role, basically the role to accept to the approve manage process about asking the data is a operation policy, and also to exporting the data and giving access is on the data team data department. So that's how we design the data governance in Kartu Prakerja. Maybe the second question, can you repeat, Louis?
It's more on the I guess how do you bring the coordination agencies together?
Okay.
How do you ensure that there is a good understanding of the roles and responsibilities between the two parties? How do you motivate them? May I add is there a legislative framework for interoperability that, for example, helps you to do this interoperability with other public government and
Okay.
with the private sector?
Okay, maybe the hard the hard challenge first in the public services, and oh yeah, in the public from the government. Basically, we have to see how we do interoperability. Sometimes Prakerja is only as a user of the API because we consume their API. Basically, if we are as a user, we just following what their standard. But sometimes we giving them advice, but all the advice, all the recommendation from us, it depends to them is they need to apply or not. But sometimes we will use your API if you at least having like standard scalability, because we concern about the scalability. Let's say I need to access your API, I'm able to request, let's say 100 requests per second, like something like that. If less than from that, maybe we have the Kartu Prakerja having the like a blocking time about the operation, because we need to process the data, millions, 10 millions data, and we need to validate and process this data. We don't want your API to be a blocker for business process. That's the number one. That's the challenge. Sometimes they may be adjusted, or we just stop it and then asking the manual transfer and then regular asking the data, something like that. That's what we are doing interoperability in the public services. Sometimes, yeah, if we have a framework, but yeah, sometimes, and also we also having a API. Let's say they need to checking which this ID citizen, is it the beneficiary of Kartu Prakerja or not. Basically, we providing the API, we providing the documentation, and then we share to them. Sometimes they, yeah, what I can say, sometimes from the government agencies, sometimes they prefer to use the data by CSP because maybe lack of the engineering or technology team to integrate our API. So they just prefer, okay, can you just exporting the just NIC in the CSP and then share to us? Yeah, that's the way finally we share. But the API we providing with the standard, how the API I mean the standard is just you request the API, put some data, just like a JSON format. Is a common. If you asking the modern engineer, the existing engineer, this API is just request with the JSON data, and then you will get a response with the JSON data, and then the format is response ID, something like that. The error response, something like this. It's basically the web standard what we using. So
yeah.
Basically,
so you try you from your side, you try to use open standards,
yes,
so that you maximize the possibility for interoperability with others. But there is no overarching normative in the country to say public service try to use these open standards. It's always bilateral negotiations that you have, right?
Yes. Okay. Because we just following how API web standard in the world, and then just follow this. Sometimes it's not quite fancy, but that's the standard how we request the API and then get response. Basically, we follow the web standard. But if we're talking about the information, the response, like a name, phone number, email, and etc., is by negotiation. Let's say you need to know the Kartu Prakerja name just hit by NIC. We cannot giving that because maybe need a level about MOU or agreement agency between us to another agency, because we expose the name of beneficiary. But if you just validate the API, validate the NIC, is it beneficiary Prakerja or not, you can use this API, and then we will be like MOU letter to make sure having like, oh, we allowing you use that API, and then this is the credential to access our API. That's the from the private sector, from the public service, and private. I mean the public agency, and the private agency basically is a different, because sometimes when we're talking about the bank or the fintech, they have regulator like a central bank. So sometimes they have the API, and then they cannot negotiate, let's say, with the BNI. We need to having a private lease line connection. Sometimes it's too heavy to maintain that connection, right? And then we asking them, can we just host to us internet? Oh, for this API we cannot, because this is regulating by the central bank. Okay, and then that's another one about transferring the money. And then about the another API, maybe like linkage the account bank to Kartu Prakerja account. That's the API. Sometimes we need to, can you improve your API, because we need to use API to validate if the bank account is the citizen ID same with the citizen ID in Kartu Prakerja. Okay, sometimes they check, oh, we don't have that API yet, but we can improve if we get approval from the central bank, because right now in Indonesia, when you changing your system in the banking banking industry, you need to submit some information to central bank to improvement their system. Really high regulated from. That's why changing the data, changing the information, and then changing how we communicate in private sector like a bank is a very challenging. Is it need to get approval from the central bank or the financing authority or not? But from the fintech company, is a really easy. But another one is when our API used by digital platform, yeah, because this API is from Kartu Prakerja, we don't have any regulator. We just follow the standard about the web standard consume API, and then we just make sure the security with the standard security. That's it.
I really am so thankful for letting us privy to the complexity and the technicity of such a system that is not visible to the user. For the user is very seamless and everything is smooth, right? I want to thank Ms. Dr. Denny Purbasari, Mr. Hengchi Chihombing, Rosanna, thank you so much, the discussant, Henry, and let me give the floor back to the person who's going to conclude, Dominic, and wishing you all, and also thank you to the participants who have put a lot of questions. It shows the big interest this topic and your presentation has raised. So thank you all, and over to you, Dominic.
Thanks, Luis. So also from my side, it's remarkable what Indonesia has accomplished during the last years. Your case showcases the efficiency and rapidity with which well-planned interoperability among various systems within a country can pay dividends in terms of employment, training, and incentives and benefits for beneficiaries. It serves as an exemplary use case for us as a DCI and for the global community, and we can learn from it. And we are looking forward to seeing how these advancements will continue and unfold in the future. As we close now this webinar, I want to extend my gratitude to everyone who participated. A special thanks to our moderator, Luis Frota, for the seamless facilitation, and to our discussants, Katsuri Rosanna from GIZ in Jakarta, and Harry Edmund Moros from the World Bank for the valuable contribution and engaging questions. Again, also to Denny Puspa Probasi and Henki Sihombing, your presentation was not only enlightening, but also instrumental in advancing our understanding of the Prakerja program impact and interoperability features. Your expertise on the subject matter is greatly appreciated. And I would also like to recognize our audience for their active involvement and their questions. Looking ahead, we invite you to mark your calendars for the next events on Talking Interoperability coming on the 25th of May. Registrations will be open soon, and also the announcement of the country case. We also recently published our first standard on CRDS and SPMIS systems. The standard is available on our website and more details. You will find the link for GitHub and Gitbook to get more technical details, and all these links are on our website. We are also currently in the review phase of our next standards on IBR and social registries. The public review will be announced on our website, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter. So be kind. We are looking forward to receive your valuable feedback and comments soon. And if you want to contribute to the DCI in other cases, you can send a message via our webpage to us. So visit our website to follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter, Gitbook for any updates, and to get more resources and also the recordings from the recent webinars. Once again, thank you all for your participation. Until next time, let's continue the work on interoperability to make more integrated and effective social protection systems. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, a nice morning. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.